First up, a check of how the markets closed today. So a late recovery ensured that Dalal Street closed flat. The Nifty managed to regain 11,900, but the Sensex ended marginally in the red. The mid-cap index underperformed and has seen the biggest fall in the frontline indices. The Nifty Bank mirroring the benchmarks after recovering more than 300 points from its intraday lows. And let's now head to the United States of America, where the India Idea Summit organized by the US-India Business Council is underway. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has addressed the summit on day one and has stressed on the need to do away with trade irritants and elevating the Indo-US strategic relationship to the next level. Shireen Bhan gets us all the latest from Washington, D.C. Shireen.
Hello and welcome to our special coverage of the India Idea Summit here in Washington, D.C., organized by the US-India Business Council. Lots of big names, from the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Google CEO Sundar Pichai, coming together to talk about how US and India can deepen their engagement and further this partnership. Areas of collaboration range from defense to aerospace, infrastructure, clean energy, and of course the digital economy. There are irritants that need to be ironed out, but the view coming in from Secretary Pompeo was clear that both sides would be keen to engage and conduct a dialogue even on some of the outstanding issues that involve trade. Now, there has been a fair amount of convergence on a lot of issues, but as he pointed out, a lot more needs to be done. So first up, here's the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who will be visiting India shortly, giving us a preview of what to expect from that visit.
We respect India as a truly sovereign, important country with its own unique politics and its own unique strategic challenges. We get it. We realize it's different to deal with the likes of China and Pakistan from across the ocean than it is when they are on your borders. That's why in this room, not so many months ago, I elaborated on President Trump's vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. It starts from the premise that we share a common set of values, the values of democracy and freedom, and a core belief in the ingenuity of the human spirit. And it's only natural. It's only natural that the world's most populous democracy should partner with the world's oldest democracy to maintain our shared vision throughout the Indo-Pacific. As Prime Minister Modi said in his latest campaign, he said, "Modi high to Mumkin high." Modi makes it possible.
But let's now talk about a man who was honored here by the US-India Business Council, Sundar Pichai. Of course, from cricket to his move to the US and how he basically got started at Google. Plenty of food for thought there coming in from Pichai, addressing issues on Google's involvement in India, suggesting very clearly that Google is now in fact incubating ideas on product development which they build in India and then sell to the world. So the strategic importance of India being highlighted there. Pichai also making an important point on having harmonized or standardized frameworks for privacy, saying that that will help everyone involved and will help grow the digital economy even faster. So here's Sundar Pichai on a whole host of issues from India to privacy.
There's a World Cup cricket going on, and it's a wonderful tournament. Rooting for India to do well, but there's a lot at stake. You're right.
There is indeed. Who do you think is going to be the final match?
It should be England and India, but Australia and New Zealand, these are all very, very good teams. So free flow of information, is essential to digital trade, and we all can see the benefits of it. But to ensure that we can actually do it, I think we need better safeguards around privacy, user privacy. I think rightfully so, users are increasingly concerned about it. And I think it's an important moment to create standardized frameworks, both for users to have choice, control, and transparency, and for companies to be accountable as well, with a clear set of rules. And I think it's an area where both in US and India, I think we have reasonably aligned notions around a free and open internet. Both countries have safeguarded principles of free expression. And so there's enough shared values here. I think we can lead in privacy frameworks, and to the extent you can standardize this globally, I think will be a huge factor which drives digital trade, and so hence it's very, very critical to it.
Now, a group that is invested in the US-India relationship is the Tata Group. From power to aerospace, defense, they have varied interests. I caught up with Banmali Agarwala to find out more about the areas of opportunity. For instance, the partnership with Lockheed Martin. Secretary Mike Pompeo talked about the F-18 and the F-21s. Do they see further progress and faster progress on the defense business in India? Take a listen. You have inked your partnership with Lockheed Martin. What's the expectation on getting this off the ground?
Well, so I think the expectation are high. And I would say that in this term, from the government, from the Modi administration, one expects a lot more faster decision making. I think the way the cabinet's been formed, with right people in the right place, with a lot of domain coming in, like in external affairs, in trade and so on, I think there's a lot of expectation. And when it comes to defense particularly, I think India and US have been building on that over the last maybe decade or so. And you heard that again when Secretary Pompeo spoke about, exchange programs, United Nations cooperation, and all of that. Private business-to-business partnerships as well, and I think we are a great example of how we've built those over the years. And now I think the stage is all set for actually building platforms, a more significant partnership that benefits both India as well as the US and caters to the Indian defense requirement. So we feel very bullish.
One of the interesting trends that we're seeing for Indian software companies that do business in the US is for them to hire locally. This is a way to compensate for the visa restrictions that have been imposed by the Trump administration, but also because it now makes sense for clients who are keen to do business locally. Now, Infosys is one of the few companies that has been hiring local talent. They've hired about 10,000 people here in the US over the last 2 years, and they're now hoping to replicate the training facility that they set up in Mysore here in the US. So they've taken up 140 acres here in the US to set up a Mysore-like facility. I caught up with Infosys' president Ravi Kumar to find out more about that story.
We hired 3,000 plus from schools and colleges. We ran a 12-week training. It costs us $20,000 for every new grad who comes out of school. And once they finish the 12-week training, they're productive for work. We established 6 centers in the US. 5 of them are up and running. We took a very unusual pick. We picked the centers where we have good academic ecosystems, not ready-made available talent. We went beyond STEM, so we went to liberal arts, we went to design schools, and we picked a talent pool which is needed for the future. And now we are going to community colleges, which gives us a much broader spectrum of talent. And it's a very inclusive way of looking at talent in the US.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up our special coverage of the India Ideas Summit. We'll see you soon. From all of us here, goodbye, and many thanks for watching.
Right, so from that event to other foreign affairs, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Now, Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to meet the heads of China, Russia, as well as Afghanistan to discuss bilateral ties. However, the Indian Prime Minister will not be meeting his Pakistan counterpart, Imran Khan. Parikshit Luthra is here with the details of the Prime Minister's itinerary. Parikshit, what are the next 2 days looking like for the Prime Minister?
It's a packed schedule altogether. In fact, this is the first multilateral engagement of the Prime Minister. This is the second Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit after India became a full member in the year 2017. Pakistan is also a full member now. Having said that, for all the SCO partners, all 8 of them, the global economic situation and the US-China trade war will be a priority. And when all these countries, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, make their interventions during the SCO summit, they will be talking about the trade war and how the world needs to navigate these issues right now. This will also be the focus point when Prime Minister Modi meets President Xi Jinping, President Putin of Russia. They will be discussing the impact of US sanctions on Iran and Russia as well. The global security situation, counter-terrorism, extremism, all of that is going to be discussed. There's going to be a strong statement on terrorism as well. But trade issues likely to dominate the agenda over the next 2 days. The Prime Minister will also be there for the India-Kyrgyzstan bilateral summit that will take place tomorrow afternoon.
Right, Parikshit, absolutely. Many thanks for getting us the lowdown from what to expect from that SCO meet there. But back home in India, the housing real estate sector is facing a crisis. 150 builders are currently behind bars or out on bail. Now, the average delay for housing projects is nearly 5 years. And that's not all. Nearly 3 lakh home buyers have no clarity on when their dream home will be delivered, if at all. Manisha Natarajan is here with more details on that situation. Manisha, the situation seems quite dire.
Absolutely. The real estate sector's mess is only getting deeper. In fact, reliable sources tell us, both from Narredco and CREDAI, these are industry bodies, that over 150 builders today are in jail, have been arrested or out on bail. Take a look at this list. Now, some of the prominent names are from Delhi, NCR, in Mumbai. There's Monty Chadda. Last night we got this news that he's a promoter of Wave Group. He was arrested from Delhi airport last night by the economic wing in connection with cheating case, making false promises of giving flats to buyers. We all know about the Chandra brothers. They've been in jail. We also know about Amrapali directors. They are in jail. There's a warrant out, in fact, in the name of Pranav and Sushil Ansal of Ansal API. Now, these are just some of the high-profile names that have made it to the headlines. But look at the list here. It's a long one. And you've got several of them are, of course, NCR builders. But there are Mumbai builders as well in that list, which is coming up. But, and this is the most frightening part of this mess, despite the arrests, none of the stuck projects have any visibility of completion. And if I just take you through the data which we've received from Prop Equity over the last 1 quarter. So you look at April, you look at now June data, and you see that the number of stuck projects, the value of those stuck projects has now crossed 3 lakh crore rupees. That's a huge number and a huge crisis. The number of units, if I take a look at how many housing units are stuck across India, that number is at 4.52 lakh units. Again, it's a jump from April. June is, of course, to-date data. Despite RERA monitoring, the period of delay has gone up from 53 months to 55 months. What we are now staring at is a number of delayed projects touching 1,500, which in April was at 1389. Now, that is the number that we're looking at. You talked about how there are almost 3 lakh home buyers stuck. Again, that is a number which has gone up from April. Instead of coming down with the real estate regulator in place, this number is up, and that's what we need to worry about. The latest increase in stuck units also is a fallout, we have to remember, of the funding for developers drying up from NBFCs. Less money comes in. Experts are actually saying that this is not the end of it. This mess is going to get deeper and that number larger. Back to you.
Right, Manisha. Many thanks for getting us all those details. And you can catch a special episode of Urban Reality on that housing crisis in India at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. today. Manisha will discuss the seriousness of the current situation and analyze potential solutions with the best experts in the space.